Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Beyond the Album Cover with yours truly, Jarrell Mason, aka J Mace, where we get inside the entertainment industry with those in the know and give them their flowers while they're here to be celebrated. With me on the line right now, I have a man who has been in the industry eye since 1988 with a group out of
Ooh.
Pasadena, California, with hits such as Mamacita, My Heart off the debut album. Then in 1989, Attitude with Spread My Wings. That's my attitude. I'm not suit. Jackson 5 cover, All I Do Is Think of You. 1992, Deeper. The Deal cover of Sweet November, Whatever It Takes. Strange Motel. The list goes on the records on that album. And then Mayday. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one, the only Mr. Rodney Benford from Troop and Keith B. Rodney and Keith, welcome to Beyond the Album Cover, gentlemen.
Hey man, hey, glad to be here, bro.
Man, I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this interview. Like I was telling you, Rodney,
Thanks
Troop
for
has
having us.
special meaning to me in my heart because Alan gave me my very first interview. So to be interviewing you right now, also had the chance to interview Steve, John, and Chucky Booker. It's amazing, man.
Hey man, you know what? God is good, bro. Thank you for yourself. I appreciate everything, man. Like I said, God is good, and we still around, so we can do a lot of more things, man. A lot of stuff we can still do.
Yeah, all the time. God is good. We got to give him praise before we do this interview. So, first off, before we jump into troop history, how have you been holding up due to COVID and how's that's been affecting you, knowing, you're not been able to go out and do shows and things of that nature as of right now?
Well, it's a lesson that I've learned because sometimes we don't want to be given instruction and rules, but sometimes you have to learn. You have to learn that that's what it takes. So just going through it and having some discipline and follow the rules. And also it taught me to write more. I've been writing, man. I've been writing songs and coming into a pretty good writer, man. So it's a good thing for me. I know it's not a good thing, period, but for me, just going through this worldly crazy thing and finding myself who I am and writing and discipline, and it's working for me right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing, given the circumstances, you obviously don't want to be locked in because of everything that's going on with, the deaths and people getting sick, but, developing your craft, working at it, and just getting better day by day. So I think that is the one positive out of this craziness, man. So let's go ahead and jump right into the troop history. Pasadena, California. A lot of great
Yep.
musicians, authors, entertainers, people, what have you, from Pasadena, also home of the Rose Bowl. So, how did you end up getting on, putting on the hits, which was like the lip sync battle of its day? And what was that reaction like when winning and knowing that Atlantic was reaching out and feeling like, hey, these guys got something?
Well, actually, it starts with my mom. My mom, crazy story, man, but real. I was young, maybe 14, maybe 14 years old, and she would ask me to take out the trash and do things like give me some water, and I would just dance doing it the whole time. I would just dance, and it actually was her ideal to say, "Hey, why don't you go on this TV show? Put on it." It was her ideal, and it was up to me after that to find a group, but it was her ideal. She thought that I danced all the time, and maybe I can use it doing something else, and that's how it really started from her, man. From watching me and watching what I'm doing and how I'm dancing, and she picked up on it quick, and she called the TV show and got the auditions, and that's how it jumped off.
Okay, so it's more of a call in and referral and wasn't a cattle call where you would go audition at a local spot and get picked for the show?
No, we did that also, but just it kicked off from my mom. From we auditioned and we won, and we got actually on the show, but to kick it off was her. So my job after that was to find a group and actually practice and actually go on the TV show and win. That was my job after that. But the kickoff was my mom.
Okay, because I've seen the performance clip on YouTube of putting on the hits. You guys doing Cooler Now, New Edition. It's yourself, Reggie, and there were two other members of the group that were dancing. Who are those gentlemen?
Well, actually, I break it down to you all the way. It was three other members, which John, Steve, and Alan wasn't on the TV show putting on hits. It was Rodney, Reggie, Skeeter. We called him Skeeter. Atron and Stewart. Those are the original members. How Troops got started. That was the kickoff again. Them guys.
Okay, yeah, because seen the performance in the popping and locking, and knowing that at this time West Coast dancing was very different than what was going on back east and in the South. Very big on the popping and locking and the influence of the lockers with Don Campbell Lock, Jeffrey Daniel, Shalimar, Tony
Uh-huh.
Basil from Soul Train and Rerun. That definitely had a
Great.
big influence on your guys' dancing
Great.
style.
Well, Tony Basil, actually, when we started dancing, when it started from the original group, the Putting on Hits group. I call it the Putting on Hits group. And a guy named Stuart Bang, and he's still my good friend to the day, man. He taught me how to choreograph and to be in sync and things like that, and to pay attention to movement. And he taught me that. And after Troop, the Troop group formed, I was so into making up steps and being a choreographer. I did a lot of it. And it's funny you say Tony Basil because I took her to the Spread My Wings step, and she liked it, but she did her thing. Her and a guy named Doc Clark and Tony Basil, they rearranged some things and made it totally professional. But I had a lot to do with a lot of the steps from day one,
Mm.
and we would always hire a choreographer just to make it tight, just to make sure we're extra tight. But most of the steps in the beginning came from me.
Okay, okay. And for those of you that don't know, Tony Basil, bona fide dancer. She's more than just Mickey. People Google her. Now, you win putting on the hits. So how did Alan, Steve, and John come in?
Well, let me tell you that, but I do want to give props to Barry Lather and Jeffrey Daniels, who had a lot to do with some of the choreography I took to them and they changed too. So Barry Lather and Jeffrey Daniels and Tony Basil. I want to give that. Now ask the question again. Sorry.
All right. So how did Alan, Steve, and John come in the troupe after putting on the hits?
Well, I'm gonna start with Steve. Steve was a celebrity walking around. He loved Michael Jackson. He loved to dance. He loved all the old type of music and heat wave things like that. So he had a music class, Pasadena High School. He was in music class, and I watched him. So I felt that Steve needed to be immediately in the group, immediately. This is after the putting on his group, so I had a little hype, so I had a little power to say, "Hey, you want to be in my group?" I wasn't coming to anybody with nothing. I had just went on a major TV show,
Mm.
and I like Steve's get out. I like what he was doing. He had a lot of confidence, and it was going to help me. I knew it was going to help me down the road. And John John, John was in my sixth period, and when he found out that Steve, which was one of his friends from dancing as kids, when he found out Steve was in my group, he kind of followed me home, and I didn't really want him to, but he did it anyway. He did it like the hell. I'm following you home, bro. And he was good at harmonizing and finding notes and things like that, and helping me do some of the choreography. He was pretty good at that. So my mom and myself liked John John. Now Alan, see Steve had saw Alan at the park singing one day and brought him down to the house because we was looking for another lead singer. And it's so crazy because when I saw him, I had already saw him at my house 3 or 4 times before Steve even met the guy because he was just coming down there saying hi to my sister and just kicking it with the family for a couple hours, things like that. And I already knew Alan. I already had knew him. It was just crazy that Steve brought him back, so I already knew him. So Alan was the last piece of from me and Reggie being the original members Allen was the last piece. Then Troop developed total respect of other people. That's what Troop means. And that's when everything happened right
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. So, what were those rehearsals like before getting the deal to Atlantic, practicing the dance steps? And did you guys cut your teeth performing locally, like at grand openings for businesses and things of that nature, before getting your deal?
Man, we did everything in the world, man. Every talent show, every outside park thing, every downtown LA, everything, man. So downtown LA would have some, I think it was called the street scene. They would have it every year. And we would perform there as kids every year, but we would do new edition back then. We were doing Count Me Out and Cool It Out and things like that. And it just kept going, man. It just kept going from the putting on the hits to the original group and to so by the time we were about to um see Atlantic Records, we were already like almost veterans in what we practice every day, guy, every day. No matter if it's raining, no matter if it's too hot, and it don't even snow in California, but if it did, we would still practice. And by the time they saw us, we was already ready, man. We was ready to roll.
And that's what it is. It's that extra seasoning, that fine tuning. It's that prep work where if you keep constantly practicing, by the time it comes for your big moment, you're already ready.
Yeah, see, we want to be really good, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that we wanted to, we already was good. We already was good. I'm not saying we was the best, but we were already good because we wanted to. So by the time we got with Atlantic Records, man, and did all that, man, they was like, oh yeah, we were, man, we was already ready, man. We was practicing, and we would make up. My mom would tell us this, and that's how I knew we was ready. She would go to the store. She would always feed us bologna sandwiches, man, and juice. At the time, that was great. That was some great eating at the time. Some nice fresh bologna sandwiches. So she would leave and go to the store, and her words was this: "You better have a step when I get back." Now listen to this. You don't have a step when somebody go to the store and come back, man. That's almost impossible, bro. You don't have a step that quick, but we did. Time after time, time after time. We had a step when she got back. So we were already groomed, man. We were ready to go with anybody.
Going toe to toe. I could imagine those early rehearsals being like how New Edition was in the If It Isn't Love video with Brooke cracking the whip and making sure they were right and tight.
And you know what? That's what we did. We even went farther than that. So everybody listening, everybody, all the young groups, it's okay to take this. We went further than that. We would do the whole step individually. Rodney's turn, Steve's turn, Alan's turn, Reggie's turn, John's turn. Everybody had to do it by themselves. And that got on my nerves, man, because it was certain moves. Certain people did a little better. Certain move. I want to do that like Reggie. I want to do that like Steve, but you can't do it like Steve because you're doing it by yourself right now. So we would do the steps by ourselves until everybody validated that it was fine, and now come back, let the group do it now. And that's how we knew if everybody was on, if everybody was serious, if everybody was really down. Do it by yourself. Let's see what you got.
Wow. And it also kind of explains too when you have everybody do it individually to come back as a collective, you're not really staring at one person looking to lead it off where you know the routine by heart.
So that's why we became equal when it came to dancing. Now, everybody got different talents, but when it came to dancing, that's why it was almost equal because we would jog, and while we're jogging, we're singing, and we would dance, and we would do the choreography by ourselves individually. And yeah, we was already we groomed ourselves, man. We really did. We didn't have like a big giant person watching over us, like a big name. What I mean by a big name, and saying, "Well, do this. I've been around for 20 years and do that." We didn't have that, man. We just made it up as we went, and everything made sense. And here it is today.
Yeah, and that it did. Were there any other labels besides Atlantic in the running for you guys, or was Atlantic always the leader in the clubhouse as far as signing you?
Man, let me tell you, before we signed, first of all, we did 180 and 10 demos back. They were demos back then on the tape. You know what I'm talking about. We did 110 of them. We submitted to about 10 companies, man, and nobody bit. Atlantic Records bit.
And it turned out to be Winner Winner Chicken Dinner for Atlantic with Sylvia Rone, Merlin Bob.
Merlin Bob,
Now,
yes.
when I interviewed John, he was telling me that the people at Atlantic, they were calling you guys the guys, and it was right around the time when Guy was about to drop, and they were like, okay, we got something special for these guys. And was it Sylvia Rone and Merlin Bob's idea to put you guys in the studio with Eddie and Gerald and Mark and do Mamacita?
Well, Eddie and Drill had a great relationship with her. A lot of business was done through them, and
Yeah, because you all were
Drill.
label mates.
Yes, so the business was done. So Drill was coming out as a writer and a producer, along with Mark Gordon and his dad, Eddie, and it just made sense to everybody. Which I'm pretty sure the idea started from Atlantic, yeah, but it made sense to everybody. And we hooked up and we did Mamacita and did a few more songs, but Mamacita was the lead off. It was our sound. Joe Levert gave us our first sound ever. It was Mamacita, and it was a great. Uh, Sometimes, man, you don't when you're young, you don't see it. Later on, you see it, and it was a great hookup, man. It was one of the greatest ones that we did because that was our first sound. Now Chucky Booker gave us My Heart, All I Do Is Think of You. Yes, he gave us our sound, but it jumped off from Joe Levert, man, and Mark them writing Mamacita. That was our first sound.
And it was a big R&B smash for you guys. And how old were you guys right around the time of the debut in '88?
I don't know. I think about 18, 19, 18, something like that.
Okay, because I remember you guys performing Mamacita on Apollo. You guys had the sweaters and when you guys did the troop dance. Apollo just went buck wild. Now, who idea was to come up with that signature dance?
Well, that was a street dance, and it just so happened that the dance was out when we were out, and John used to dance in these little crews, and I forgot. Don't get mad at me, John, but I remember the T-necks and something else. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but the T-necks they were different squads that danced, and John was in one, and he kind of knew at that moment the latest dances at that moment, and we used it, and it just that's how Mamacita came out. Now we used Barry Lather, who did Janet Jackson's choreography. We used him with that, but we already had a step guy. We had already finished the step, and it was already done. The John really kind of sparked that one up with his street dancing.
Right. And then the choreography from Mamacita, dope. The choreography from My Heart, who came up with that? I mean, that whole song and the choreography was just mind blowing.
Well, that was Chucky's song. That was Chucky. And back to the same thing. I started it off. And there's a lot of steps that's still in there I did. I started it off. We got with Jeffrey Daniels and his assistant, I think name was Casper. And they're the ones that did Michael Jackson's what's the one with the white suit and the hat?
Oh, Smooth Criminal. And for those of you that don't know, Jeffrey Daniel, we're talking about Jeffrey Daniel from Shalimar,
Yes,
former Soul
yes,
Train dancer.
yes, yes. He did that. So it just made sense at the time. My heart, and he came in and he liked what we did, and we explained to him that we'd like to take it to another level, and he did what he had to do to make the choreography a lot more tighter than what we had it. But it started again from me, man. John's help, Steve help, but all that started from me, man. And I'm glad we did Jeffrey Daniels on that one because that taught me another style of dancing. Really, really. I mean, like immediately I said, oh, it don't have to be hip hop. It don't have to be locking. It could be modern. And
Mhm.
Jeffrey Daniels, man, he got that my heart cracking like that, man.
Yeah, he definitely did. And the one thing about Troop that everybody knows, the choreography. And we look at the choreography of you guys in New Edition as being the tightest of all male R&B groups, but with two distinctively different styles. New Edition's choreography, of course, Brooke Payne came from the school of Shy Lights, Whispers, Blue Magic, Temptations, that school, while you guys had the same polish and tightness, but it was more street, but it was hitting hard at the same time.
Well, I always give my hat off to New Edition. Um, After you got all the old groups like the Temptations and all them stylistics, and then the grandfather to us is New Edition to our generation. And total respect, man. I love New Edition. I always have. If it weren't for New Edition, I wouldn't have never even want to be in a group. It was because of them. But I want to be better dancer than them. And what I mean by that is back in the day, it's called stepping. New Edition was Temptation. He stepping. We were dancing. That's the difference. And dancing is stepping, but I'm just saying, you breaking it down. They were stepping, great at it. But Troop was dancing, bro. On every note, every drum beat, every snare, we were dancing. That was the difference between New Edition and Troop.
Yeah, because I can see it where New Edition's dance style is smooth, refined, polished. Your guys, high energy, hitting the floor, sweat, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and you know what? It's okay because they were polished to the T, and we were a little more grimy, just a little bit more grimy than them. Which, if my hand went up like this, in New Edition, everybody's hand supposed to go up, but our style of dancing allows somebody's hand to go up a second late, and it's okay.
Hmm.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, what was your take when New Edition incorporated the troop dance in some of their routines to "If It Is in Love"? Because I remember them doing the troop dance when they performed "If It Is in Love" on Soul Train.
Well, it was great because, hey, they're my peoples, they're my guys, man. They did it. I know we did it before them, so I already know that. I'm not worried about that. I was happy that they did it, man. But it was a couple of things that I learned from them also, and if it ain't the best, you don't mess with it. So if they
Right.
mess with something we did and we mess with something they did, only because it was good.
Hmm.
It's cool to me,
Yeah.
bro. Cool.
Yeah, definitely that. Because I told Brooke this when I had a chance to interview him, and especially with Alan, Steve, John, and Chucky, I would have paid front row seats to see you guys in New Edition on a tour together in your
Well,
primes.
man. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I'm not the leader and the guy that puts that together. I can tell you this from man to man. I don't know why. I don't know why. That was something I really wanted to do, far as becoming a part of this industry and looking at New Edition. Like, wow, these guys, man, I love them. I love their work ethic. I love them, and I just thought that in my lifetime I would have did a show with them. That's my opinion. That's not saying anything bad about anything, but that was I just didn't get in the industry to do videos and have number one song. I really got in the industry to do at least one song, at least one show with no audition. At least one. It never happened, and I don't know why. So that's kind of like, that's kind of, excuse my language, a little shitty to me.
Right. Understand that. So the album takes off. Mama Cita, My Heart, big hit. When you guys go outside the West Coast to tour for the first time, were there some regions of the country where you guys were surprised that you guys were hitting so strong at?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna even take it farther than that because we had hit everywhere, and being young, no, it didn't hit me. I'm thinking just it is what it is. But I can say this out of all that international, when I went to Japan and they were singing our songs, a lot of them couldn't speak English, but from hearing on the radio every day and buying the song and playing every day, you can still say the words. And when I went there, man, they was really singing our songs and had we had did the Mamacita album, and then the Attitude was next. So we actually went to Japan for 2 weeks, and we worked. We performed for 2 weeks. but it was actually the practice to come back to the United States for the Attitude album. So when I went over there, and this one lady had her hands behind her back, and she pulled the Mamacita album out, which was called The Truth, and it was just transpiring to the next album. And she took her other hand behind her back and had the Attitude album. That's when I said, "Wow, this is wow. I didn't even think you had it over here." You know, I just thought that it's still we still riding off the Mamacita, the Troop album. But no, man, I went there and that lady had that second album, The Attitude, and I actually took my chain off my neck and I had it made. It was a gold and diamond chain with Troop spelled Troop. I took it off my neck and I gave it to her because I didn't believe she had both albums. That's when I knew something is really big about to happen.
Yeah, definitely that. Before we transition to the Attitude album, Keith, you want to jump in and talk about the choreo real quick?
Yeah, man. It's like, I didn't get to see all that what he was talking about in the early days, but I can attest to, the seeing them, make up steps, man, and not to jump ahead too far, but we were in Ohio and DMX, how's it going down? Man, I sit there, mouth hanging wide open, man, and these guys made up a step just like he said, in the early days, man, to how's it going down. And I'm sitting there going, man, these dudes is bad right here. I don't think it's anything that, they put out, man. And I literally seen them, make it up. I wish we had video recording, back in the day, because, man, you talking about some behind the scenes footage, man, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, definitely would have been. I know Al Heyman probably got some shots somewhere from the Budweiser Superfest back in the day. So shout out to Al Heyman, still spending that
Yeah.
Budweiser Superfest money. So the one standout cut for me off the debut album was Still in Love. Beautiful ballad. Beautiful ballad. Standout, beautiful record.
Yes. And that was Zane Giles, Steve Russell, and don't be mad, it was over 30 years ago. I don't remember, but yeah, Still in Love was one of our first ballads that we did that was really touching. That was one of our first touching ballads, man, when we started recording. Yeah, and Still in Love was actually one of my favorite songs, man. Still in Love came through nice. And it's so funny because a lot of songs like that, they came out of nowhere, man. Somebody saying, "Hey, listen to this track," and I got a melody in it, and it just came out of nowhere. Them good songs really came out of nowhere, and Still in Love was one of them.
Right. And now we're going to go into the Attitude album, which came out in 89. What was the process of going to the studio knowing that, okay, first album hit, we got to come back even harder on the sophomore album. And then also with George Spinnerella Irby bringing in a young Dallas Austin.
Look, I think 6 months after the first album, I think 6 months we were back in the studio. Excuse me. So it was no time to sit back and enjoy anything. There was no time to notice nothing. I'm talking about from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
There was no time to notice nothing. It was 6 months, and our first album we did okay. So we was able to tour, we was able to do some stuff. And after 6 months went by so fast, we was back in there doing another album. And I'm like, hey, we still got another single on this mug, man. We still got two more singles, but we were back in there doing it. And I didn't understand it then. I just thought, this is the work that you do, and this is what you get out of it. And early in our career, all we did was work. We work, we work, we work, we work. Christmases, holidays, we work. We worked. The first 4 years, we worked. We didn't even know nothing else but work. So that's what I was kind of familiar with. So I never took it in. I never, it's like as I got older, some things I realized, like, oh, wow, whoa. But at the time, man, I was in a group and I wanted to stay in my lane. I wanted to learn about other things later. That's the route I wanted. It had nothing to do with nobody else. That's the route I wanted. So a lot of the business, and things occurring and monies. I wasn't really up on it at the time, man. I was just kind of letting it go over my head, and that's what I wanted to do because I had a plan with myself. So a lot of that stuff you talking about, I kind of missed it, and then later on I understood that was pretty big. Oh wow, I went to Japan like 5 times, 14 hours on a plane there and back. Today, that's incredible to me. Back then, I thought I was just doing what they asked me to do.
Right. You just living in the moment.
Yeah, and I loved it though. Remember, I loved it.
I would too. I mean, you got girls screaming for you. You're getting the parties for free. You got the adulation of girls wanting to be close to you, guys wanting to be you. It's the best of both worlds, bro.
Man, look, accountants paying your bills. All you gotta do is get up and go to practice or not, and be in a group. You didn't have to do anything, man. It was just a wonderful life. So I wasn't ready to jump 3 steps ahead. I wasn't ready. I wanted to stay. Matter of fact, I stay a half a step behind, so I can see what's in front of me, and I want to be the best group member I can be before I even think about venturing out.
Mhm. Yeah, and we mentioned Atlantic Records. Can we talk about the impact of Miss Sylvia Rome?
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah. Ooh, Sylvia Rome, look, let me tell you. If you ever listen, Sylvia, I love you. I thank you for the opportunity of life. Growing up in this business grew me up better than not being in this business. I'm not gonna say it was all peaches and cream, but just doing other things and the way my mind was and the way God made me, I had to grow up in this business. I had to. I had to. And thank you for the opportunity. You've took me around the world. You've taught me to generate money for myself. Today you taught me by giving me the opportunity. And I thank you for it. And Sylvia Rome is a big inspiration to me as an older guy. Now I understand what the work was, just the opportunity. And I thank her for that. She was a big part of my life and still to the day. Thank you, Sylvia.
Google Sylvia Rome, people. If you don't know, her list of accolades in this business is about as long or longer than a CVS receipt.
Woo!
And you know how long CVS receipts are.
Yes, I do, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but that's how big of an impact that she has had on the business, along with Merlin Bob, and we can go on and on,
Yes.
all the heavy
Yes.
hitters in the business. So the sophomore album drops. You guys have
Yeah.
I'm Not Souped. That's My Attitude. Now, about That's My Attitude, who idea was it to get Teddy Riley to do the remix? And I believe it was a Quill from Rex and Effect doing the rap on the
Uh,
remix, correct?
yeah, it was something. Yes, it was something like that. I think that came from the Atlantic squad out there in New York.
Okay, and the same thing with getting Clark Kent to do the famous remix of Spread My Wings.
Yes, same thing. Same thing. That's all that New York sound. That came from them. Yep.
Yeah, because I was telling people, because outside of Clark Kent, Herbie Lovebug, who did work for Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, nobody
Yes.
outside of the DMV area didn't really use Go Go like that. Now, I want to see if I can get a confirm or a denial of this about Spread My Wings. Now, when I interviewed Chucky, he told me that Turned Away was originally supposed to go to you all,
Yes.
and he played it for Sylvia Rome. And Sylvia told him it's going on your album. And when he
Uh huh.
told y'all that, you guys wanted a song similar to that, and that's how Spread My Wings came about. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct, and that's totally correct. Um, Turned Away was banging, man, and we wanted that, but like I say, sometimes the everything is in alignment. Everything's in alignment, and it just wasn't for us to do Turned Away. It was for us to do Spread My Wings. No disrespect to Turned Away, but it just wasn't for us to do it. But Spread My Wings was the perfect song. He wrote it, and I think, I'm not trying to put his business out, but I think Chucky maybe was going through a couple of things that I'm not sure if I can remember, and he came up with the great Spread My Wings, man.
Right. Now, who idea was it for the video? I mean, the being on the rooftop with the helicopter flying, and then you all on the beach with the piano, and then that breakdown. I mean, I was just floored when I first saw the video. Like, man, these guys are getting off something serious.
Man, you know it was rough for the record company, the the video companies to understand for a minute because nobody knew how we was coming. Even the Barry Lathers and the Tony, but they didn't understand. Nobody knew. Only we knew what we were. Only we. So we were surprising people as we touched them, and we went through different segments as far as practicing, doing the video, get a number one song, et cetera, et cetera. We was touching people, man. We was it was just something incredible, man. That now everybody don't have, every group don't have. Everybody that make it, some of them probably really didn't deserve that spot, man, because of the love and the understanding from the other members and no matter who don't see your goal, your dream, if it's Atlantic Records or whoever, I'm not saying they didn't see it, but we saw it more than everybody. We saw it more than everybody, and it was going to happen either way. It was going to happen, man. It was going to happen either way. It just so happened to go through Atlantic, through that. It was going to happen because Troop was already. We was sent from God, man. It was already done. It was already done, man. We listened and we was obedient. God told us to do this and we did it. And
Mm-hmm.
he said do this and we did it. Everything he asked us to do, we did it. And we was obedient. So we were blessed, man.
Right. And I want to go into the Arsenio Hall performance where you guys performed I'm Not Suit, tore up the stage. But for me, what was the highlight was seeing New Edition come out at the end and give you guys propers. For me, I was like, oh my God, these are my two favorite groups of all time on one stage.
And that was the closest we got to perform. That was the closest we ever got to perform. But to answer your question, I'm being silly, man. But to answer your question, I think that at the time when that happened, that Arsenio Hall performance, in my opinion, from Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, James Brown, anybody, name anybody, Troop's performance on Arsenio Hall was one of the top performances ever. I'm not knocking anybody, guy. That's not what I'm here for. But that performance was one of the best performances ever in the world, ever. So we practiced for that. We knew what we was doing. We already knew what we was capable of. Falling to the ground, whatever. We already was ready, man. And when New Edition came out, I took it like they was just saying, "Thank you, man. Thank you from being the group you are." We're breaking up because BBD was coming out, Ralph was coming out, Johnny Gill was coming out, and Bobby Brown was already out. So at that moment, if you know it or not, if people know it or not, they was kind of passing the torch, man. And I don't think our side of people picked up on that, which it could be from Atlantic to managers to whoever. I don't think nobody picked up on it. They was really saying here, and we didn't get it. And that's my opinion. So that was a great moment because they was passing the torch to us, man.
Right. It almost kind of felt like how back in the day when the Celtics and Lakers were going at it, and when that team finally got over the hump, the other team gives them their respect and say, "Hey, go get them."
Yeah, and that's what they did. They did it, and I'm gonna tell you something. It's energy. It's the universe. They don't have to know they did that, but that's what happened.
Mm,
It's what happened. And some people don't know it, but you get no addition to never do a show with Troop, never ever ever. But they come on Arsenio Hall after we did a great performance. It means something.
right. It definitely does. But I felt your guys' best performance for me. It was when you guys did Live Inside Studio A on BET, and you guys did Spread My Wings. The crowd's energy was nuts during that whole performance, especially when it got to the breakdown section.
Well, like when I say performance, A performance is usually one song. We did on that BT thing. We did 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah, because I remember you guys did I'm Not Souped, I Will
Yeah,
Always Love You.
yeah. So I'm talking about one song performance. That was the best we did. Just
Hmm.
one song.
Hmm.
But far as like concert wise, oh yeah, we did a lot. We did a lot more, a lot better than that in different concerts. But just that one performance, man. That's in my heart, bro. That thing sitting in my. And then they came out. New edition came out too. That's done, man. That's the hottest one.
Right. Keith, you want to chime in?
We was talking about that the other day, man, and Rob brought that to my attention. I was excited when I saw New Edition come out on the stage because, see, I was new in California, man. So Arsenio Hall, when he came out, man, I would not miss a show to Arsenio. And then when I heard Troop was on there, it was like, man, when I seen it, I was just like, wow. Now keep in mind, I knew of Rodney and them at the time, but I didn't know him like I know him now. So I was kind of like a in distance, in distance, real cool fan. We always played ball or whatever, but I respected his lane and everything. But yeah, man, that was dope.
Definitely a dope performance. Now, for All I Do Is Think of You, who idea was it to do the cover of the Jackson 5 record? And the one thing about that record, for me, I didn't know until years later about the Jackson 5 version. That's how much you guys took it and made it your own.
Well, we liked that song before we graduated high school. We loved that song back when we were young guys. But I believe, and I don't want John and Steve to kick my butt about it, but I believe John kind of started it, and Steve took it and made it, cause Steve had did the before Chucky did it. Steve had did uh, a demo of it and did it pretty good. It was just a demo though, and I think it started from John saying that we should do this, Steve, and you should do it over, because Steve was learning how to. He was coming into himself of trying to write and produce and things like that. So we were like, you should do it, and we had already liked the song though. The song was like one of our number one songs when we was young guys. So since we liked it so much, it was just easy to say, hey, let's do this. But I think it started from John and Steve.
Okay, yeah, because I remember going back to Arsenio, he was in the middle of his monologue, and you guys came in midway and did All I Do Is Think You. And I thought that was so dope how you guys did that.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. You get all my information, bro. Listen, I was young. I didn't understand at the time again. Why we didn't come in on the usual count, and why we interrupted. I didn't understand until I got older, but that was all planned. That was planned to do that to Arsenio Hall because he liked us so much. He had started liking us so much. We just trying to give him something a little different.
And that you guys did. I mean, it's something that you rarely didn't see on late night TV. For those of you that's too young to remember Arsenio, his impact on late night TV and TV in
Ooh,
general was something serious. What you see right now with all urban acts going on these mainstream late night TV shows, he was the only outlet where you could see R&B rap acts
yeah,
when it really
yep,
wasn't acceptable on mainstream, like with Johnny
yep,
Carson, David Letterman, and Jay Leno.
yep, yep. You're right, man. You're right. And Arsenio Hall, true. I think 5 times the most appearances on Arsenio Hall as a group was true. Nobody did more than us. I think 5 times, man.
Right. And the only thing I'm envious of was being too young to catch the tail end of Arsenio when he went off the air, like around 93, 94. I was like, man,
Uh
I
huh.
wish I would have been a little bit older so I could stay up and tape and watch
Uh
Arsenio.
huh.
But it's all good. That's what YouTube is for. But I'm going to tell you the importance of you guys in the New Jack Swing era. So Tony Luca, who was on the Mickey Mouse Club back in the 90s with JC, Justin, Brittany, Christina, they were saying that they were bumping you guys and a lot of the other acts of New Jack Swing, which made it all made sense. Where it's like, hey, these kids are listening to R&B and pop,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hear them covering "Don't Walk Away" by Jade, "Cry for
Yeah.
You" by Jodeci. I
Yeah.
mean, that whole era played a huge impact. And then when I interviewed Danny Wood from New Kids on the Block, he told me he had a chance to check you guys out in a show in Boston, was just blown away, and always felt that they were more R&B than pop anyway.
Uh huh. Uh-huh. Well, good thing that the a new Jack era came in. It came in because it was a new sound for R&B. Number one, it was a young sound, and I think the R&B in the past was probably getting a little old with the sounds and with certain melodies and stuff, which we all know that was the greatest music ever. But with time changing, New Jack helped a lot of people out, man. New Jack music helped a lot of people out, man. And hey, I'm happy it came in. I'm happy that that sound came in because we were definitely a big part of that New Jack sound.
Definitely that, and it's still loved and revered to this day. If you listen to
Yeah.
Bruno's 24 Karat Magic album, Straight New Jack Swing, we got the Wonderly podcast right now talking about New Jack Swing. It's
Uh
just good
huh.
to see that era still celebrated, still loved. And shout out to Target for using Real Love for their commercial just recently. And how did the New
Okay.
Jack City cameo come about with you guys in Levert and Living for the City?
Well, that has something to do with the movie New Jack City. We Atlantic Records again, which if I don't know, I'm sorry, I apologize. But Atlantic Records, um, they filmed it in New York, and some of the people that were in the movie, like Chris Rock and a couple other people, were signed to Atlantic, and it only made sense to put us in it. Levert, Troop, Chris Rock, it only made sense, man. So that's how we got that. It was more like a family type of thing that got involved in something really huge.
Definitely a love revere classic movie to this day. And before we go into talking about the deeper album, a little fun fact for those of you that don't know: Trent Reznor, yes, that Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, just recently got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, was the engineer on the Attitude album, I believe.
Wow, that is incredible, man.
I know my stuff, man. I read liner notes.
You're incredible, guy.
Man, when I tell you I'm a fan, I'm a fan. So, did you guys have any interactions with him, or was it more so of you guys do what you need to do, bounce, and then he come in and clean up? And when you saw Nine Inch Nails explode, and say, "Hey, he was engineering on that album."
Actually, you just told me something new, so I know I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't know that. No,
Yeah,
but
well, now you know.
was great to hear it. Congratulations to him. And like I said back in the day, I just really did my parts, and I respected everybody from any engineer. I don't remember anyone I do. I respected that, and I did my parts, and I was kind of done, man. I'm a team player, bro, and that's all I was doing.
Right, I understand that. Now, I believe you guys are on the Wheaties box, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Um, Pop Tarts,
Pop Tarts. How did that come about?
12 million boxes of Pop Tarts. We was on 12 million, and that had something to do with our manager, which was Platinum Gold Productions and Atlantic Records.
Oh man, I did not know that, but I think the one that would have been dope was had Campbell's would have came and got at you guys, especially because of I'm Not Soup, and did a marketing campaign around that. That would have been so dope.
Well, let me tell you something, man. When you got all these adults around you and you're just breaking into the music game, it takes us a maturity and a different head to think about them. The fellas we wasn't thinking like that. It wasn't gonna happen right then. Now I can, but it wasn't going down, man. It was the people around us probably just wasn't thinking like that. But it totally makes sense.
Mm,
Totally.
yeah, and that video, dope. I mean, the guys at the barbershop. Now, I want to know this personally. Was there a name for your hairstyle that you had where it was like kind of sloped on the side, had the little thing in the back? Because I had never seen that before, me growing up in North Carolina. So I wanted to know, was that particular hairstyle on the Attitude album that you were wearing, was that more so a West Coast style?
You know what, man? I'm be honest with you. The Gumby was out. The everybody had Gumbies. Bobby Brown had a Gumby, so I took that. I like my hair in the back. That was Rodney B style in the back. The thing in the front I bit that from Steve when he was younger. I like that little. Everybody says a bang, but I don't want to say that. But whatever it was, I like that. And the things around my head, this thing I like how Ralph Tresvant was wearing his hair. So I kind of took 3 or 4 people's style, made it mine.
Right. And it was a dope hairstyle. Now, going off of the success of the Attitude album, you guys touring and everything like that there, and then going into the process of Deeper. What was that process like? And then whose idea was it to bring back the Deals classic Sweet November for you guys to redo?
Well, going into deeper was like it was almost like make or break right now. It's our 3rd album. Things is going on, and this is really the make or break. This is really it. To me, that's how I felt at that time. This is it. We got to come really good and strong on this album because there's other things going on in the business that's not too cool. So this the make or break, man, for Troop. And when it comes down to Sweet November, that was another song that we like. I have a sister named Kim. She lives in Indiana, Muncie, Indiana, and she would come out here and visit us from time to time, and she would always bring that song with her, man. The deal, she would always bring it. So she introduced that song to us, my sister Kim, and we liked it. So we took it under our wing and said we'll do it when we get a chance one day, and the day came and we did it.
Man, beautiful, beautiful way that you guys redid it. And like once again, like all I do, I didn't know about the Deals version until years later, which was off the Material Things album. So for you guys to do justice to 2 classic records speaks volumes of you guys.
Well, it's a thing. It's a thing that we got that I'll notice. I'll throw it out there, and maybe it should be used in some kind of way where I don't know. This maybe it's kind of played out or it's old, but doing remakes, I, I think Troop has a blessing to do them. We did a lot of songs, man, that people don't even know, like the song "So in Love." I'm so in love with you, baby. I don't know who sing it, but we actually did that over one of our albums, man.
Oh, wow.
What I'm trying to say is John did Luther, Stephen Allen did Michael Jackson, the remake that they did. We are pretty good at this, man. It's maybe we should use it in another way or do more. But we're pretty good at doing remakes, man. We're pretty good at it.
Right. And the one thing that I didn't get to ask the other guys when I had a chance to interview them, but I'm going to ask you now, since now I have the chance. How did you guys end up singing backing vocals on Tender Lover for Babyface?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, my experience, that was just it was a favor for favor. We didn't know at the time, but we were doing My Heart in the studio, and I think LaFace Studios. Oh, what's the name of that street? It's off of Keith might know it. Do you know Keith?
We're in Hollywood.
Yeah,
I think it's
on it's
Cahuenga. No,
around the corner from Jim's. Remember?
I know. Yeah, I forgot, man. It's been so long, but it's right across the
Okay.
street from Hollywood Warrior Records.
Yes, yes. But okay, okay. Anyway, we were doing My Heart. We were practicing, getting ready to film the video. And Babyface walked in there like I can remember it like it was yesterday, bro. He walked in there and he said, "Hey, I need a couple of chants on my album. Like, oh. He needed some chants." And he stopped our video, basically. I mean, well, no, the rehearsal, wasn't the video. He basically stopped it, man, and we went right up there and got in the studio and did it right then and there. And that's how we got on Babyface album.
Man, because when I hear Tender Lover, I was like, man, this wouldn't be too far off being a cut off of Attitude.
You're right. You're right.
Man, because I could imagine the choreography, man, that would have been so sick, so dope. Now, were there some songs that you guys could have had a chance to record, but it ended up going to somebody else?
Oh man, it's a couple of songs. Like I said again, I just wasn't on it. I was in meetings, and you talk about this song, or we said no to a couple of songs, and I don't remember, but it has happened. Yeah, it has happened with us, man. And I don't remember who they went to, and I don't remember what song it was, but it happened a couple times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a common practice in the industry where songs get passed around. It gets sent to this person first, like, hey, you want to do it? No,
Yep.
or we already got the album locked, first rough cut turned into the label, and then it ends up going. So that's common in the biz. Now, when you guys perform Whatever It Takes on Arsenio, you guys had on the mic stands the blue and the red rags tied together. And I believe this was right around during the time when the Crips and Bloods had the truce. So this probably had to been right around a little bit after the Rodney King riots, I believe.
Yeah, it was. It was during the time when they were trying to make a truce, and I think it was around that time you said they were trying to, and we just thought it'd be a good idea since we're from the LA area, man, and we didn't see Crips, we didn't see Bloods all our life. We just thought it'd be a good idea to put the rags on there and whatever it takes. Hey, that's what the song was called, Whatever It Takes. So we got involved in that a little bit, man, and that's how we was involved with that, man. Whatever it takes.
Right, because I believe right around during this time, everybody outside of the West Coast got to sort of see through like Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, all of those movies, kind of like, okay, this is what LA life is supposedly like through those films. But then when you go up north to the Bay, it's a totally different feel, different vibes. So, what's the difference between Northern Cal and SoCal by you being a California native?
You know, the difference is me actually being around this more. I see it. I don't live there. I don't walk their shoes. I don't walk their life. So the difference is I just know this more because every place is rowdy. Every place got ghettos, got um, gang members. Um, it's just that the difference is that I know what this side about. I don't know what that side about. That's really the only
Right,
difference. That's the only
right.
difference, though, because if I can't explain something that I don't live, I don't know how they live up there. I can't even. I don't know. So
Right,
so my difference with me would just be I know my side.
right, right. And California's still on my bucket list. I've never been. Definitely have to make a trip out. Now, you
What?
guys, yeah, I've never been to Cali. That's one of my things I want to do on my bucket list, man. Come out to California, man.
Oh, we can make that happen, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely got to go out see that California sunshine, all that good stuff. Now, speaking of Northern California, you guys went on tour with MC Hammer, correct?
Oh yes.
So what
Oh
was
yeah.
that like seeing him up close, personal, and being at the height with Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him and how he was able to do pop numbers and move rap mainstream?
Wow. Incredible, bro. Just the energy, just the dancing, the just he had such of a high level. I wanted it. I wanted all that. I wanted the 20 million records he sold. I wanted the crowd to scream just because I took one step. I wanted all that. Hammer was that was a good experience, man, because we learned from one of the highest, the biggest popular entertainers at that time was MC Hammer. And Troop, God bless, man, to just go with him for like 3 months, something like that, 3, 4 months. And it was big, bro. It was big, man. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. You got to wait your turn sometimes. You have to wait your turn and let the big ones do their thing. But Hammer was definitely huge, man. He was big, and you just that don't happen every day in life where you just call somebody and get on a major tour with a big person that sold 20 million records. It's not every day it happens. So that was pretty big, man. That was great.
Yeah, and I believe also on that same tour, it was Michelle and After Seven, correct?
357 Michelet after wait. Yes, yes. 357 True, Michelet After Seven, Hammer. Yep, yep.
Yeah, dope lineup. People were probably paying an arm and a leg to come out to see all of that. Deeper comes out, does well, and then you have the split from Atlantic, and then the Mayday album comes out years later. I believe it was on Warrior Records, correct? I want to say.
Okay. There's a piece in there. We did do a record with Warrior, but the Deeper album was mixed up between Atlantic Records, which they did everything, but we were making a move to Busted Records. That's
Mm-hmm.
Louis Brown and Hammer's record company,
Mm-hmm.
and we did that move before we messed with Warrior Records. That was in between, and to me, unfortunately, that wasn't good. I wasn't. Everybody make moves, man. It ain't cool, and it's okay because you learn from it. It's okay. It's nothing to badger anybody or be mad about. It's a move we made, and it was just not a good one, and it hasn't really been good since, man. I mean, as far as all our old records and our hits, people still appreciate them. But as far as like what we wanted to do, it was kind of it was shed off right there.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Right.
almost like we came out and we did real good and we was the best dancing group and that's what we asked for and it was done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So after the Deeper album, then I believe it was a little something something that was with Steve and Alan, correct? With the
Yes.
little something something record.
Yes. Yes. It was with Meech.
Demetrius Ship, his son,
Demetrius
played
Shipp.
Tupac and All Eyes on Me and Tyrone and All
Yeah.
American.
Yeah. It was with them three. And like I said, I'm not. It's nothing to be mad about or anything. I'm just telling. Yeah. Yeah. It happened. That was something that really happened. I loved everybody. I don't have a problem with nobody, but that did happen, man. They
Right.
came out with an album with three, and they called it True, and that wasn't good.
Hmm.
That wasn't good. It's,
Right.
you know,
And
I think it's okay if you want to venture out, do things. It's okay. It's okay. But I think they kind of messed it up and made it real dark when they named it True.
mm, and once again, I want to stay on Beyond the Album cover. We don't do no shade throwing. We don't do no throwing under the bus. This is all about
No.
giving people their respect and telling their truth. And this is what we're
Yes.
doing on this platform.
Yes. Yes. No disrespect to nobody. I'm past that in my life, man. I'm 51 years old. I
Don't
feel
look it.
good. Well, thanks, but I am. But I feel good. I thank God. I don't have time to say this person did this to me. A lot of it was me slow, being slow. I don't have to make up no word. We can be honest. Just me being slow. A lot of it was me. So I don't have. I'll do it all again, bro. And let me tell you something. I'll do everything again and end up right here talking to you after 31 years again. Same thing. All the screw ups, I'll do it all again because I don't want to do nothing to change nothing that I don't know it could have took me. But I know where this life took me. I'm right here talking to you right now. This is
Right.
where it took me.
Yeah, yeah, man. So the Mayday album comes out. We have Audacity, Like the Way I Parlay, Fly Away. Great album, great record. And then also right around the early 2000s, the legacy of Troop was still being felt because we know Steve's pen game, production game, nasty. And when I interviewed
Yes.
Steve, he was telling me how Gas to Be came about for B2K was that he was talking with an exec at Sony, and the exec was a Troop fan, and he told Steve, give me a Troop record for these four young men that I have on my label. And boom, got to be. So it still feels like today, Troop's legacy is being felt, whether it's B2K doing the record Steve wrote, No Air, Jordan Sparks,
Uh
Chris
huh.
Brown,
Uh
Naked,
huh.
Marcus Houston, B5 covering All I Do. And then also to get into today, this will make you smile. The legacy of Troop is still being felt because your nephew, Hit Boy, the hottest producer in the game. His credits are as long as a CVS receipt. Just did
Yeah.
King's Disease by Nas, Benny the Butcher. Pretty much you can't turn on the radio today without hearing his production work. So what was it like seeing his rise and seeing that he's the creme de la creme right now as one of the hottest producers in the game?
Well, I can recall, man, when he was a young guy, about between 5 and 8. Troop was hitting. Troop was rolling, and I had a group called BI, which means bad impression. Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good. I was managing a group, and we would always practice at my house. My house was always a practice spot. Sometimes we would use rehearsal halls, but a lot of times they came to old Rodney B spot to practice. So Chauncey, his name is Chauncey, but his name is Chauncey. Him and his mama lived with me. I was kind of like, at the time, like, hey, just bring the kid here and live here with me. I was doing it at the time. And he would watch, man. I noticed this young guy would watch. He would watch with this look on his face. I thought he was being shy, but he was taking it all in. He was taking it all in, man. He wanted to, he came to me about 13, 14 and said, hey, I want to rap. And I laughed and said, how you going to rap and you don't talk? You got to learn how to talk first, We call him the silent rapper, man. We should laugh at him and call him the silent rapper. And I started noticing that he had this crazy voice for a guy that never really rapped. And then I hear the first 3 or 4 songs and it sounded like he's dead freaking serious. I took that serious. And I became his manager, him and his group. He was 2 guys called front runners. It was him and another guy, and I called him Top. And at the time, Hit Boy name was Focus, because it was only like 16, 15. So it was Focus and Top. And they were producing their own songs and writing their own raps. And I said, oh my God, I put my all. I was taking them to, I mean, one time I took them to, what was Jay-Z's company? They had Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they was having auditions in LA, and I took them there, and we blew their mind, man. The young guys was finna be ready, and Hit Boy just called me one day and said, "I want to produce, bro. I don't want to rap no more." And that's how that whole get down started. He didn't want to rap no more, man. He just wanted to produce, and that's what he told me. And if he remembered it or not, that's what was said, and he did very good at his choice. He made the best choice of his life. But that's what happened, man. And the guy was just talented. He was just young, just focused, just nothing can get in his way. Nothing. And I saw it because that's what happened with my group. When I went and handpicked and said, I want this to go like this and I want this to be this way, he had the same that energy, man. He had the same energy, man. And I saw him evolve, man, from 3 years old all the way up to today. He been doing what he wanted to do, man. But not to tip my own hat, but it started from his old uncle, man.
Hey, man, toot your horn, man. Toot your horn, man.
I'm just saying, man, it started for me a little bit, man.
It must be that Cali swag. Like I said, Hit Boy's at the top of his game right now. Listen to any song, any record on the radio, he is top dog. So shout out to Hit Boy. And I'm letting it known right now, speaking into existence. If you want to come on to Beyond the album cover, you got a spot, bro. I'm letting you know, Hit Boy. I got a spot right here waiting for you, bro.
We'll look that up for sure, man. Later, we'll work on that for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most definitely. Now, I also understand that outside of the music thing, you have a passion for the culinary arts, correct, Rodney? Like you like to get down in the kitchen?
I wouldn't go that deep, but I'll say culinary. I ain't gonna say all that, man. But I like to cook. But I just don't want to. Look, I don't want to push the envelope just yet, but no, I can cook. I can cook what I want. I'm all right. Yeah, I can get out a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we got Ronnie's Catering coming to a spot near you. Get your food truck and everything like that. Hey, with the loadie, with the carne asada fries, all that good stuff.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Some years back, It was some years back, but when Troop was actually going through their sit down moment, which everybody do, but I had I was living in a place called Monrovia, California, and I started a barbecue spot where it was at my house, but I had everything like the refrigerator and everything outside and had it all set up nice. I did it for about like a year, and it was called Triple G's Get Grub and Go. And I was doing it only on the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. But it did all right, man. It did okay. I ain't gonna lie.
Man, I'm telling you, food trucks is the way to go, man. As we see now, it's less overhead, and especially if
Yeah,
you got the right spot. I mean, look at Trap Kitchen.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, if the food
You're
is
right.
good, folks will know where it's at and know where to go to get it.
Well, I'm thinking about getting back into it, man. When once everything is right, and that's the kind of person I am. A lot of people think that I'm slow and maybe a little lazy, and I just do things at my time when I feel it. And everything I've done, from putting Troop together, from cooking, from working on my own stuff, it all is always at the right time for me. It's not the right time for nobody else for me. So I will get back into that.
Right. And if you need some taste testers, I'll be on the first plane smoking to California.
Okay, well that's how we're gonna get you to California
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
All
yes,
right.
sir. Give me to try some grub and take me to In and Out and Fat Burger, and I'm pleased as
Okay.
punch.
All right, man. That's
Yeah,
easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. Cause the closest In and Out to me is in Phoenix. So every time my wife and I would roll out there, I have to stop by In and Out to get it. And people would smuggle In and Out like it was like El Chapo moving work. That's
Yeah.
how In and Out is if you're not around it.
Oh yeah, you're right. I've seen it like that, and we can definitely mess with some of that, man. I got a couple spots too that I could blow your mind a little bit. So when we finally link up, man, we're gonna eat some good stuff, bro.
Yeah, yeah, man. And I heard about Bledsoe's barbecue that is on point because actually the founder he was on the Netflix reality show Great
Uh
American
huh.
Barbecue Showdown as one of the judges. Now, me
Uh huh.
being from North Carolina, I know my barbecue. So when I first moved out to New Mexico, right, and when I saw brisket, I was like, "What is this?" Because in North Carolina, it's all about that hog.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's all about the hog. Keith, you probably know a little bit about that barbecue too, right? You can chime
He
in.
do. Oh yeah.
Just a little bit, just a
Just,
little
just,
bit.
just, just a little something,
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a little.
Yeah, the only thing I don't do though, I don't do chillings and I don't do pig feet. I'm just letting that be known. That's the only two things
Me
off
either,
the dead
bro.
guy I don't eat.
Do you
Me
do
either.
greens?
Do I
Me
do
either.
do I do what now, Keith?
Greens, greens.
Greens. Yes, I do some greens.
Oh man, when you go to California, then you got to get some of Jean's greens.
Okay, okay, yeah, I like greens and I like of course the mac and cheese with a little bit of baked at the top. Little bit of everything, but what really changed my life coming out in the Southwest food wise, I never had Mexican street corn before until I moved out here. Man, if somebody would have
Wow.
told me how the
Wow.
Parmesan cheese and the mayo just hits,
Oh man. Man.
man, I went to this food truck festival in Arizona, right? And it
uh,
was like two elote trucks was popping, like the lines were straight long. And I'm like, man, people really love street corn out this way. It really,
Good stuff, man.
yeah, it really hits, man. But that's the thing about California and just being somewhere different. You get to learn and experience different things. Now, I want to circle it back to Gerald Levert real quick for a minute. Did you guys
Uh-huh.
have a hand in seeing Rude Boys and Men at Large before they took off? Since Gerald was working with them.
Oh, we had ran into him. I remember the days when Gerald was speaking about him bringing the group out, and we met him before they came out. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought. That was kind of cool. Like I said, you guys were label mates with Levert, and also label mates with En Vogue as well.
Yeah. We that show you're talking about on BET,
Live inside Studio A.
they opened up for us at the time,
Oh wow, that's crazy.
and Chris Rock. It was Chris Rock, Invoked and Truth.
Wow, man, to
Yep.
think about
That's
that
that.
lineup, that's crazy.
It was that same show you're talking about. That was that same show. I remember, man, and yeah, we were hot then, man, and it was and actually I think that was the first. Am I right? It was Coca-Cola sponsoring it. I think that was the first time that happened on there, and we was one of the first acts to do that with En Vogue and Chris Rock.
Right. And what was your thought on seeing Dallas Austin explode, once he came out with ABC with Aisha, Boyz II Men, Motown Feeling, and you guys knowing that, hey, we got a chance to work with him first?
I wish that we worked with him when he was at his peak, but no, I'm just joking, man. The guy's been good since he was a young guy, man. He just his turn just came around, and he took advantage of it, which he should have. And I was happy for him, man. I thought he was always good, though. He was always good. Him and Joyce, they were a good team, man. So I was just happy that he got a chance to mess with them big artists like that, and had them big songs, because ultimately you wanna make money, and you wanna make sure that your future is taken care of. So I was happy that he was able to, I'm pretty sure, get royalties to the day. I'm pretty sure.
Right. And did you have a chance to do any writing and producing for any other artists?
Me,
Yes, sir. You.
you know, I've written on a couple of things. I did the Whispers with Steve Russell. It's called A Big Misunderstanding. One of the albums that came out 88, 89, something like that. I'm not sure, but I wrote a song on there with them, man, and a little writing here and there, but nothing never major where I had a single or anything like that. But my first one was the Whispers. That's huge.
Yeah, and we talked about the Whispers earlier. Their style very polished and smooth. With Rock Steady that was done by L.A.
Yeah.
Babyface. Then
Yep.
Innocent was a great cut. And did you have any other opportunities to work with any artist that's from a different genre outside of R&B?
Well, no. Well, I had a chance. I turned it down. If that's what you're asking me,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
turned it down.
Uh,
Um, Before my buddy Easy E died, which was my friend, I remember when we were touring with Michelet, and he asked me if I wanted to come to the studio and write some songs for some artists he had, and I was scared, man. I said no. I was so scared. I didn't know. I wasn't scared of him. No, I was just scared of the opportunity. I didn't know if I was ready for it. I just didn't understand. The only thing I knew was truth, and I told him no, man. And
oh,
I messed up, but yeah, I messed up one before. Yes, I have.
yeah, but like you said earlier, you live and you learn. And what was your whole take when the whole West Coast boom exploded with everything that was coming out of Death Row with Dre, Snoop, and everything? And then, do you remember who the group was that you ended up missing out on with Easy?
No, I think it was a artist, a solo artist. It wasn't a group. I think it was a solo artist, and I don't remember who it was. But when all the rap started coming out, man, it meant one thing. It meant that the stuff we were doing, Troop was doing, and a new age was coming in, and it was just taking over. Rap was taking over, man. It was just taking over. So I I experienced being in a popular group with number one songs and things like that, and I experienced that rap took over so bad. I remember at one time we was just doing when we were touring, we was just with all rappers a couple of times, all rappers in one damn R&B group on there, and it kind of hurt us. It hurt where R&B was going, but it is what it is, man. It took over R&B really bad. That's my opinion, and it was nowhere else to go for R&B to go but to at that time remember all the good R&B music, the good artists, and just you hold on to that because rap took over for a minute really bad.
Yeah, because I can remember I did an interview with DJ Cut Creator, and he was telling me how back in the days, a lot of the early rap acts out of New York, they would get brought out to LA through Uncle Jam's army. So
Uh
can you
huh.
tell me about the impact of Uncle Jam, Roger Clayton, Egyptian Lover, LA Dream
Uh huh.
Team, and classic LA hip hop?
Man, that stuff was, look, that got this whole momentum started. I was young and I used to go to a club when I think I was 16 and it was no drinks just for teenagers. And it was called Maryland Street, something crazy. And when I go there, man, they was playing all them artists that you named. They were playing, and people were getting up, dancing, and it was just a new sound. Um, it was just something new, and everybody liked it. And for LA, you know, that made us kind of one of the top go getters in that sound. We know rap. We know rap is a New York thing from the start. We know that, but them artists, man, they made it to be a. It's okay to be a rapper in LA.
Right. Right. And we also got to talk about the impact of this little AM station that played rap all of the time. 1580 KDAY. And you go to YouTube to check out my throwback interview with Greg Mack.
Woo! Well, you know what they did, right? You know they. I mean that like again, that's the start. They played rap music all day, every day, all day, and when you hear something every day, all day, you tend to kind of like it. You tend to start saying, "Hey, this is it. This over here, this is it," and you catch yourself since they playing this all day and every day, which is nothing wrong with it, not knocking it, but since they did that, now when you go and you're driving to work and you're doing things in your car because it was the bomb to listen to music in your car off the radio back then. That was it. And now all of a sudden you want to listen to some R&B. It wasn't adding up no more. You know, it was just kind of R&B was just sounding old compared to what the rappers were bringing and the rhyming and the melodies and the music. It was just different, man. So it kind of made me feel like when I listened to R&B, it was kind of sounding a little old.
Hmm. And hopefully some of you all didn't get your butts in trouble by dialing that 976 number. You know the
No,
number if you grew up in Southern California, that 976 number I'm talking about.
nah, not me.
Yeah, because if mama saw that bill, you'd be like, what's this 976 number?
Yeah.
If you
No,
know, you
I
know,
didn't.
if you grew up in Southern California during that time, or the 1-900 or 800 numbers being on the party line. Now, I didn't know
Uh-huh.
this until I watched this documentary called United Skates on HBO. DJ
Uh-huh.
was talking about there were two prominent skating rinks in LA. It was I can't recall the name of the venues. I'm not even gonna try. But they said
Uh-huh.
that both of those rinks were in the middle of Crip and Blood territory. And one of the rinks
Skate
ended up
Junction.
yeah, it was something like that. But one of the rinks ended up being kind of like a neutral spot where the gang would
Uh-huh.
say, hey, we're not gonna rock our colors here.
Uh-huh. Well, I I didn't skate. I didn't skate, you know, and not only that, it's like just the kind of person that I am, even if things are really cool, but if it's anything neutral where anybody can come in, I usually didn't visit them spots. Not a lot.
Yeah.
I usually didn't because I've always felt like I got something to do here. I got some things to finish, and you know, I just stayed away from that, man, much as I could. So I never gang bang or anything, blood or crip. I lived around Bloods from being in Pasadena because that's where Bloods are. But no, I never got into that, man. So the skate ring and all that neutral junk, I didn't fit in. I didn't fit into that.
Yeah, I wouldn't fit in either, but it also reminds me of how back during those days, the gangs would give, like, if they saw kids doing good, had potential to get out, they would give them a pass. And they'd be like, no, 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 leave him or her alone. They're going to go do
Yeah,
something. Let them roll through.
I got a pass one time. Um, I was 16. I was sneaking to go to take the RTD. That's what it was called back then. The city bus to LA. And my bus broke down. I think like on 120th and Broadway, which I didn't know what the hell that was. But now I know. It was some Crips, And when my bus broke down, I would start walking, and I had red on my shoes, and I didn't get it, man. I wasn't dressed in red. I just had red on my shoes. Oh, they saw me walking, bro, and I remember it was 3 gang members on a beach cruiser. They all was on that one beach cruiser. I knew it was trouble when I saw that. I said, this ain't good at all. This ain't good. And they came up to me, asked me where I'm from. I lied a little bit and told them I was from such and such. And they took my wallet, they took my hat, and they saw Pasadena on my on my ID card. Right? They're like, oh, because if you from Pasadena, they think you gangbanging, and you don't even have nothing to do with it. But that's what if you from there and you step in somewhere in LA and there's a Crip neighborhood, you are a blood regardless. If you're not, you are. So when they saw Pasadena, they took my hat, man, and they gave me my wallet back. And the dude said, we're gonna let you go, but you be careful. And right when he was talking, pow, he socked me in the jaw. And they all got on the bike and they all rolled off. And I said to myself, they just gave me a pass, man. Them dudes just gave me a pass. And so I understand about the pass stuff. Yeah.
Right. It kind of reminded me of that scene in The Wood where Big Mike and them went into the corner store, and it was in a blood neighborhood, but he had on a Carolina Tar Heels hat, and they were telling like, yo, you got to take that hat off because you're thinking you're from the South, you're not from the West and don't know the protocols, and you're like, man, I better take this off because it could be life or death, you know.
It's true, man. It's true. And sometimes when you don't know, you just don't know, man. You setting yourself up for the older cast or people that's involved in it at that time. You setting yourself up for them because sometimes people really don't know, man. They just, and I'm one of them. I didn't know. I knew about it, but I wasn't about it.
Yeah, because they could spot out somebody that ain't from here in a minute.
That's why they gave me a pass.
They'd be like, yeah, you ain't from around here. You better get on out of here. And and we hear about the stories about countless times about people being at the wrong place, wrong time, gunfire, bullets not meant for them. And, you know, with everything that's going on and with the craziness with COVID, it's all important to spread love, man, not hate.
Exactly. That's all I'm about. I'm not about negative. I'm not about grudges. I'm not about knocking somebody else down. That's not at all how I grew up. You know, not at all. I'm not even on that, man. I wish everybody success. And just the sad thing about it that a person like me probably can't get that back from everybody.
Right. All you can do is just give what you give, and it's theirs to receive. You did your part.
And that's what I say. Peace, man. I'm okay, man. I'm all right with Rodney today. I'm happy. I'm happy what I'm learning. I'm happy what I've learned. I came a long way, man, from being a guy that was kind of shy and not caring about things to a very understandable man, and I like it, and it's good, and I can teach people, and I can tell them things that totally make sense. I don't have to lie to kick it ever again. I'm just be myself from now on.
Right. It's all about matriculation, learning, and growing. Now, LA is on fire right now. I mean, the Lakers took home the ship, the Dodgers took home the ship, and I saw the celebrations after the Dodgers won. I mean, LA is just on a high right now with being back on top of the sports world, especially given what happened, you know, with the passing of Kobe.
Yeah. Well, like I always say, brother, things are just lined up. The alignment is right. I've said it 3 or 4 times. The alignment is right. And, the passing with Kobe, it was just lined up for us to win. I mean, well, I don't even know what to say about that. Some of this stuff is so big, man. It's so much bigger than me, and how things happen and how you put stuff out there in the universe and it comes back to you the way you put it out. It was just everything. A lot of stuff is in line, man. That's all I can say.
Rams, you're on the clock. The Dodgers and the Lakers did it. Rams, you're on the clock. Bring on my Super Bowl.
That's my favorite team in the world, the Rams, man. They looking shady, but we're gonna see.
Yeah, you're doing better than my team, but it's given that it's a rebuild year for the Panthers because we got a whole brand new staff. So I think in the next 2 or 3 years we're gonna be right. But it's a struggle this year as a Panthers fan. Now,
Yeah, but yeah.
go ahead.
Hey, y'all be all right soon, man. Don't
Yeah,
worry
we'll
about it.
be good. We'll be good. Key says his team is the Cowboys. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Keith, Keith,
I ain't gonna
don't
I
do
ain't
that
gonna say
right
no
now.
more about your Cowboys, man. But pretty much everybody out here is either a Cowboys or Broncos fan. Now I'm neutral. I ain't got no dog in that race, but I'm a diehard Panthers fan. So
Uh,
whenever they come on nationally, I get a chance to see them. In college, I'm a Carolina Tar Heels basketball fan. We just took an L to Texas the other day, but it's all right. We're Carolina. We'll be all right. But
all
the one
right.
thing I do want to talk about real quick, talk about the single that you got. Is it in the works, or is it something that's finished, or is it still in development?
It's done. It's done. I haven't officially put it out yet, but it's my song, so I can do what the hell I want to. But it's not out yet. But I'm thinking the beginning of the new year, maybe the first week or two of the new year. Um, it's called Ride With Me, and me and my brother and a guy named Milton. He's a Hispanic guy. He's an artist and he's a producer. He's good. His name is Milton. He's out of Houston. We wrote it. Hit Boy did the track, and the song is done. I'm just waiting on my time. Like I said, I'm just waiting on my time. But it's a good song, man. It's my first single, and we're gonna see how this goes.
All right, we're definitely looking forward to that when it drops. And then also another thing that we can look forward to is when the world opens back up. Is seeing Troop out and about doing shows. Cause to be honest with you, I've never seen you guys live, and I want to do that.
Well, we can make it happen, man. When all this junk clear up, no problem with that, because that's what we do, shows. That's our whole life, man, shows. So that's not a problem. As soon as all this stuff is clear up, man, we promise we'll link up, bro, and we'll make a couple things happen, man.
Definitely that. And like I said, for me, it'll be full circle, to see you guys and to tell you guys thank you, not only for the
Uh-huh.
joy that you played in my life, listen to your music, but giving me my shot in media, interviewing you,
Hmm.
Steve, Allen, John, Chucky. I still find
Yeah.
myself an amazing saying, hey, I turn 35 next week. Who would have known that being
Wow.
from rural northeastern North Carolina, watching Video Soul, watching your videos, trying to
Hmm.
dance like you guys, having the singles from Camelot Music. Don't try those dance moves at home though. You'll bust yourself in the head. Or the
Yeah.
lean. Don't do the lean. It's like the formula of the Coca-Cola, formula of the Pepsi, and the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices. Not everybody can pull off that lean. And I'm not going to ask you to divulge the secret because it's all about that learning that mystique. But I just say
Woo.
this to say, from a fan, thank you and thank the rest of the guys and Chucky for the joy that you guys have given me and music fans around the world.
And appreciate you, man. Like I said, God is good. Uh, Things that meant to happen is going to happen. Just as people, we should appreciate the little things, appreciate the things that keep us ticking from day to day, man. And it's not always the big things. It's just the little things you'd be proud of, man. Some people be sad because they only got $100 in their pocket, but be happy as fuck that you got the $100 in your pocket, man. Be happy. Be happy on purpose. Be happy. Be happy, people. That's all I got to say. Be happy.
Right. And Keith, that will not be a problem at all. We'll talk more about that after this concludes. Now, I also forgot to mention Cameron sampled Spread My Wings. It was off of a mixtape that he did some years back. And then Fat Joe sampled I Will Always Love You for his hit single, Another Round. So that just
Yeah.
goes to show you that, like I said earlier, Troop's legacy is still being felt to this day because everybody's saying we're either going to go back to the well and sample or recreate All I Do Is Think of You for a surprise wedding proposal or the Spread My
Uh-huh.
Wings video. Because I just saw a young man by the name of Jack. He has some reaction videos, and he just did a react video to Spread My Wings. And he looked
Uh-huh.
like he could have been no more than maybe 14, 15 years old. And it made my heart say, hey, real R&B will never die.
Wow. Good stuff, man. You know what? Can I throw this in there real quick?
Yes, sir.
The Another Round. with Fat Joe and Chris Brown.
Mhm.
We actually did a whole remix. We actually went and sung the our day and night you're on my mind. We sung the whole. They did a whole remix, but when it was offered to us, it was too late. Nobody never heard it. We actually singing on there with them, man.
Oh man, dope. And speaking of remixes, I want to get this last one in before we wrap. There was a remix of I Will Always Love You that I believe probably only got airplay out west. It sounded very similar to Naturally Mine by I'll Be Sure. Now I wanted to know, was that version specifically only targeted for the west, or did it get airplay in other regions? Because I believe it was probably part of a maxi single that was either on CD or cassette.
Well, sometimes your music it goes to certain places where they really like it. Sometimes you have no control over the Midwest or the East. Sometimes it just goes somewhere and that's just where they dig your stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? They really like it certain places. So it wasn't like geared to go to a certain place. It just sometimes that's where they pick up on it, man, and that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, and that goes back to regionalism where certain records
Hmm.
would pop in certain regions and it would get a
Yep,
bigger
yep.
pop out of certain spots. Now, before we wrap this interview, do you have any shout outs you want to give before we conclude? And also plug your social. Then Keith, you can do the same before we wrap.
Well, like I say, I'm Rodney of the Troop. You can find that on every platform. Just say that Rodney of the Troop. You can find me. You can look for that. My stuff will be coming out next month sometime. So give me a minute, but I'm coming with it all. Um, I just thank God, man. I just thank God for you, for giving me the opportunity to hear my voice, because I realize I want my voice to be heard now, and thank you for giving me the platform to do it. I thank Keith. I thank my group. I thank Steve, Alan, John, and Reggie. I thank them. And those are the people that I've been knowing all my life. Those are the people that's been beside me, ups and downs. And I'm just grateful to know them kind of people, man. That's in my life. And I'm just cool with everything, man. I love everything, man. I'm like I said, I'm a good guy. I'm just learning who I am. I just want to be out there and just my voice being heard. Just talk, just do music, just write songs, and that's just where I'm at, bro. I'm cool with everything, man. I don't have a problem with shit. Excuse me, but I don't. I'm all right, man.
Right, that's definitely the truth. Now, Keith, you have anything you want to say before we wrap?
Man, I'm just saying I'm thankful for this opportunity, man. Thanks to you, to Rod, and then I got to give a big shout out to Big Ing, man, because
Yeah.
it was because of him how this whole thing got started. But that'd be a whole nother story, man.
And we'll definitely have a
Yeah.
part two. Don't got to worry about that. You can catch this interview on all streaming platforms: Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn,
Yeah.
Pandora, wherever you get your podcast. And the video version will be available on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/J85. Be sure to go to facebook.com/Beyond the Album Cover for all show updates. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rodney Benford from Troop and Keith
Peace.
B. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Peace, baby. Thank you,
Thank
man.
you. Not a
Appreciate it.
problem. Not a problem.